everyone, my name is Ryan Cam, doing something I have not done for a very long time, a ranking video. This is every Planet of the Apes movie ranked from worst to best. Now, let me just get out of the way in saying that this is not the list, this is my list. This is my opinion. So if you differ with this list, that is totally up to you. I want to know in the comments section what your favorite and least favorite Planet of the Apes movie is. And this is honestly the perfect time to do a video like this because Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is now in theaters, and it is the 10th total Planet of the Apes movies. So 10 movies in the series, top 10 list, perfectly balanced as all things should be. Number 10, Battle for the Planet of the Apes. Now, I'm sure some of you off the bat are going to be like, Ryan, that's a funny way of saying the Burton Planet of the Apes. We'll get to that in a second. But honestly, with Battle for the Planet of the Apes, this is the one that I didn't like watching the most. This is far from a bad movie, but it's very obvious that both Fox and just everyone involved with these movies were just running out of ideas. Hell, I learned in further research, I believe from a video from the channel whose name is Matt Draper, that they filmed this movie in a water treatment plant, or well, outside of a water treatment plant in Los Angeles. They might as well have filmed the thing in my backyard. But it just showed that they were just straining for material. And it's a bit of a shame because Roddy McDowall is legitimately good. There are genuinely good moments here, but I feel like, grand scheme of things, this feels like War for the Planet of the Apes or Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, but just done 1,000 times worse. Number 9, Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes. Now, this is the infamous reimagining, and I went into it dreading it and just saying to myself, this is going to be the worst of the series. But honestly, I disliked Battle just a little bit more than this one. Don't get me wrong, this is still very much a way misguided remake, and I think everyone can agree on that. But Stan Winston's creature effects are legitimately impressive, and Tim Roth, bless his soul, does a really good job here as the villain. This is, if you want to put this at the bottom of your ranking, like the worst Planet of the Apes movie, you have my blessing. But for me personally, Battle just felt like we're running out of ideas and we're running on fumes, where I feel like that was just bad, and the Burton Planet of the Apes was just disappointing. Number 8, Beneath the Planet of the Apes. Now, this is just a movie that, in my opinion, is just too weird to live and too rare to die. Beneath the Planet of the Apes has so much going on with the mutant humans, them worshipping an atomic bomb that destroys the planet, literally. Charlton Heston literally destroying the movie and the franchise at the very end. James Franciscus just being there. It was just a mess. It very clearly Charlton Heston was supposed to be the centerpiece, but he just said, yeah, you can't like pay me enough to be in this. As a matter of fact, donate my salary to charity, which actually happened, and that was a very nice thing to do. Ultimately, I respect the ideas more than I like the quality. I feel like if they were given more time, they would have done something different with this. But instead, we ended up getting something that is not particularly great. Number 6, Escape from the Planet of the Apes. Now, I've actually seen a lot of love for this movie. Some people say that this is their favorites of the later sequels outside of the original Planet of the Apes from '68. And I can understand why, but for me personally, the sillier side of things, like Zira getting drunk and just that whole side plot of just silliness, it just felt jarring to me. Like when it actually focused up on the whole human side of things and Dr. Hammerin and that whole thing and the ending. My God, the ending. Like when it focused up, it was actually really effective stuff. But like I said, the tonal shifts were just jarring, and so that it docks it a little bit. Far from a bad movie, I think in many ways it's underappreciated. But in the grand scheme of the series, it's just mid-tier. Number 6, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Now, this is the most recent one, and for me personally, this is definitely mid-tier. This is not a bad movie, like I said in my review. I actually like a lot of this movie. However, I feel like they were holding back. I feel like I can spoil it now with the death of Proximus Caesar. I feel like you killed off your main villain. It's like if you're doing like a three-match trilogy, it's like Kenny Omega just beat Kazuchika Okada, so it's like what's the point of even doing the other matches now? I'm not saying that Proximus Caesar like should have just been outright killed. I'm just saying defeat him, have him regroup, and then come back. And then in the next movie, have Noah basically become a smarter ape and have a clash of styles of basically Noah being the thinking ape and Proximus Caesar being the warlike ape, for lack of a better example. Have Noah clearly win out, and then that sets up everything for when Cornelius and Zira and Zeus all show up, and it acts as a nice bridge between the Disney Fox stuff and what I think they're going for, showing up to where the original movie begins with Taylor and the spaceship. I could be totally talking totally out of my ass on that, but I don't know. It just throughout my time watching this movie, I was like, thinking to myself, that would have been so much better if they kept Proximus alive. There are other things, sure, but I think for the first movie, I think Disney Fox did about as good a job as we were all expecting. Number 5, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. Now, this goes to Roddy McDowall and Roddy McDowall specifically. That speech alone, honestly, carries this up to like the top 5.
And that day is upon you now!
It's if you like Escape more than this one, by all means, I agree with you. But Roddy McDowall absolutely crushed it. He alone carries this to something much more than what I imagine was expected. And by that alone, I like it more than Kingdom, and I like it more than Escape. Number 4, the original Planet of the Apes from 1968. This is one of the greatest sci-fi movies ever made. However, it exists in the similar series, or it exists in the same series as three movies that took those ideas in prequels, no less, and did them, well, realize them to a full potential of sorts. Charlton Heston is brilliant. The makeup from John Chambers still looks great 50 plus years later. Roddy McDowall's great. Kim Hunter's great. Maurice Evans is Dr. Zaius. It's a movie that has been imitated, duplicated, parodied because it affected pop culture. It's one of the greatest sci-fi movies ever made, like I mentioned. However, there are three others that were just a little bit better. Number 3, War for the Planet of the Apes. Now, honestly, the Reeves/Wyatt trilogy could honestly like be 1A, 1B, 1C for me. I love all of these movies with my whole heart. But I think War for the Planet of the Apes is the weakest entry. But with that being said, though, the movie is still epic. Woody Harrelson crushed it. Andy Serkis crushed it, of course. There's a lot of great monologues. There's a lot of Apocalypse Now parallels. It's just a beautiful ending to a beautiful trilogy. However, there are others that are just simply better. Number 2, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Now, if you prefer Rise over the number 1 spot, then by all means, go ahead, more power to you. I prefer the second movie in this trilogy more than this one, but at the same time, Rise of the Planet of the Apes is honestly better than I remember even it being, and I saw it in the theaters in 2011. It's one of those movies that just took the idea of remaking Planet of the Apes and did it properly. It paid homage to the original, but it just was completely on its own and it stood in a class by itself. Andy Serkis predictably is excellent as Caesar. John Lithgow's great. James Franco's great. Frida Pinto's great. David Oyelowo goes against type as a corporate asshole. Love to see that. It's thrilling from beginning to end. From the beginning where you see James Franco take baby Caesar home, seeing him grow up, him being Caesar, all the way up to the no! And that whole scene, which is just great. Caesar frying Draco Malfoy like a piece of chicken is just incredible. And then the final ending on the Golden Gate Bridge, which all leads into the Simian Flu. It's a beautiful movie. However, there is one more better than it. And number one, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, I hate to say it, but it is peak cinema. It's just a beautiful movie from start to end. It took what was begun in Rise and just carried it to its logical next step and in some cases conclusion. It's a beautiful movie with great action set pieces, but whether it's going 100 miles an hour or 2 miles an hour, whether it's fast paced or slow and methodical in its thought process, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes absolutely understands the assignment. And it's the best Planet of the Apes movie by a significant margin. But I pass it off to all of you, like I said at the start of the video. Comment below what your favorite Planet of the Apes movie is. I would love to hear what you have to say about that. I think I'm going to do a few more ranking videos in the near future, but I definitely want to test out to see like how they go over sort of kind of. But I pass it off to all of you. Comment below. I'd love to know what you have to say. My name is Ryan Cam. I'll see you in the next one.